Welcome to CoConstruct Introductory Training. By now, you should have downloaded and logged into CoConstruct app throughout the link that we provided you via your new company email address. Now, if you have not done this yet, please pause the training and take a moment to get logged in. You can resume this training once you've logged into your mobile device. CoConstruct is a web-based software that allows us to plan, manage, and execute large-scale, multi-day, extended projects. These projects last as little as a few days and can last as long as 1 year. Projects of this size have many unique challenges, and CoConstruct allows us to manage multiple complex projects at once. Today, we're going to review some of the key CoConstruct features that are most relevant to you, and they'll include your time clock, to-dos, which includes how we use receipts, projects, financial and time budgets, and inbox communication. Now that you have the app open, look at the bottom of your screen and you'll see a button called Time Clock. Open up that tab and the next screen will look like this. At the top, the Clock tab shows you where you're logging in, what activity that you're logging under, and what type of time that you're entering. This should always remain regular. On the right-hand side at the top, it says Entries. You can press on this and see a record of the entries that you've logged with many different filtering options. Now let's return back to the clock screen so that you can log your first CoConstruct time entry. To the right of the project section, you'll notice a flyout where you will need to select the address to which you have been assigned to work. Scroll through this list to Zero Admin and then select it. Once you've selected the appropriate project, now you should select the appropriate code to log your time under. Many times this is a logical code. For example, framing is usually logged under our 3100L framing code. And today you're going to log your time under 7900L cleanup labor. Now you're ready to clock in. Simply press the button that says clock in, and once you have, you will notice that the button now says clock out. Don't push that yet. We'll do that later. Congratulations, though. You've clocked in for the first time. On some jobs, you might be doing work for more than one type of work on that specific project, and the project manager might ask you to log some of your time onto another code. An example might be frame a wall in the morning and then help the plumber with some drain lines in the afternoon. Once your framing is done, you would need to, quote-unquote, switch to the different code. All you need to do is to tap switch, and then it will take you back to that original screen where you changed your activity type. And once again, you can select the activity. In this case, it would be plumb some drain lines, so it would be a plumbing code. And you would press the button switch. Now you've switched your time from that original cleanup to the plumbing. After a day of work, you've cleaned up your area and you've packed all your tools and you want to go home. And it's really easy for us to skip over these last two critical steps. But there's two things that are left to do. The first one is to go in and add a note about your day's work. Every day's work should be completed with a brief note that simply describes what you did. In this example, we simply wrote, completed a time entry tutorial. In your case on a job site, it could be something as simple as framed walls or installed windows or whatever the activity might be for that day. It just needs to be a brief note that would remind you and the project manager of what happened during that day. And then that very last step is to simply click that red button that we saw earlier, clock out. Let's move on now to the Projects tab. You're going to find that on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Once you tap on this, you're going to be shown a list of available addresses and a brief job title for each one of those. We are specific on how we do those. So this tab will show you a list of all the active jobs that we're actively working on, and each of these jobs are in various stages of the build process. Every project title is listed in the same way to provide an easy search and a clear description. So first you'll see the address location, and then you'll have a brief description of what the work is. A good example would be 1204 Elmer ADU build. For our purposes here today, let's tap on the Zero Admin tab again, and we'll go over some of the features here that are relevant to you. Look to the bottom of the list, and you're going to see the following. Job log. Now, I know we're starting at the bottom, but join with me and start at the bottom with me, job log. This is a tab that managers provide a history of project decisions, client and vendor communications, and regular reporting of project updates. It's kind of a written history of the project flow throughout the duration of the project. The next tab above that is communication. This portion of the software operates very similar to any texting app that you're familiar with. It provides a way for clients to communicate directly with our management while keeping a written history of all those communications, which is important in making those decisions throughout a job. Look on next to the To-Dos tab. Let's tap on this one so that you can see how to use this one yourself. This screen is simple, but it's important. This is where you're going to enter receipts for any purchase that you make on a job with the credit card that's been provided to you by the company. Simply tap on the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner, and you're going to be taken to this screen. You'll notice in my example that I've added siding material and a number to the to-do line. In just a few moments, I will show you where the number comes from, but for now, you just need to be aware that the to-do just needs to have the name of what you bought and the number code that is going on. So you can give just a brief description of those things that you bought and the number code it went on. And we also like to have a total cost of what that is. This gives easy reference back to a project manager in the future. Then, once you've done that, you're going to add an assignee to do this to do. That assignee is the one who takes care of our expenses. And since this is an expense entry, you're going to assign it to Nestor Nava so that he can enter it into the appropriate job. The last step is to attach a photo of the receipt by tapping that attach photo button at the bottom. By tapping select photo, you can either upload a photo from your device or use the camera to snap a photo. The client and the trade partner tabs should remain toggled off and the boxes unchecked, and then just tap upload. Now let's go back to the Xero Admin Job Overview page. Just above the To-Do tab, you will see Photos. On the upper right-hand corner, you'll see that plus sign again, and when you tap it, you will be sent to the same photo upload screen as the to-do list. We ask every team member to include before and after photos of your work for the day. This does two things. It's a documented photo history of what's going on the job, and it also provides photos for our social media accounts and future promotions as well. Now let's return to Admin Overview, and we will move up the list to Specs and Selections. This is a demonstration account, so information here is for example purposes only. But let's scroll down the list and you'll see 5300 siding. If you tap on that section of 5300 siding, the flyout will be expanded. Now tap on siding and trim that's underneath that flyout. Here you're going to find information that is relevant to what you're doing and a brief description of the work that you're going to perform. This is the description that was provided to the client in the specification verbiage that was in the client's contract. If you're asked to do something outside of that scope, your project manager should be the one to approve any changes to that. If there are changes, it should also trigger you to notify the project manager that there's some additional work that's outside of the scope so that they could write a change order if necessary once that's been communicated to a client. On the upper right, you will see the original budget tab. And when you click on that, you will see the planned budget for your materials on this siding job. This again should alert you if your siding materials are going to cost more than the planned budget for materials so that your PM could be made aware of that. Now let's go back again to the admin overview and take a look at a couple more tabs. Go ahead and tap on hours. This shows you that there are 40.06 hours remaining for the siding work that needs to be done. This is a total allotment. So if there are 2 people working on this job, it's roughly 2.5 days to complete the job, or what we like to refer to as man hours, 40 man hours. You'll notice that in this example, the minus sign denotes that we've gone over the allotted hours by 8.76 on door labor and 3.68 hours on interior trim. If you're not going to be able to complete the work in the allotted time that you see here, your project manager will need to be notified so that they can take appropriate action. It's likely that your project manager is already aware that this is going on, but it never hurts to let them know. Now, back at the admin overview, you'll find the Financials tab. By tapping this tab, you'll be taken to a summary page, and in this case, it shows you the financial summary of the approved job. On the upper right, there's a Budget tab, and when you tap it, you're going to see a summary of how the budget is broken down. The breakdown provides you with critical information. It provides you with the cost codes that were used to build this budget, and in this case, it tells you that 5300M is your material cost code, so when you enter the receipt, this is where you would want your expense to show up. 5300L is a labor cost code where we want the time to be expensed from. So you have two different ones, material costs, which is always an M code, and labor costs, which are always L codes. This provides you with total budget for materials. So if some of your items cost more than planned, but others are less, and your total still fits within your siding material budget, you're probably okay. Your PM should be made aware just in case there are additional expenses that you are unaware of, but when those two numbers together combine the total, that's a good thing. Finally, let's go back to the admin overview. Here you're going to find the Schedule tab. This tab will provide you with a planned schedule for the project, and this schedule is a guideline to help order and plan the project. Due to the nature of construction and the many variables involved, this schedule often changes on a regular basis, and we don't currently use it for day-to-day individual team scheduling. It's only used for planning. Your regular daily assignments will come from your project manager that you're working with or our dispatch team. This has been a basic overview of how CoConstruct works and how you can use it on a day-to-day basis. If you ever have any questions regarding CoConstruct or any of the pieces of it, feel free to ask questions of the team member that you're working with first. And if they don't know the answers or you're unable to get clear answers from that, please contact your project manager, and all of us in the admin office are willing to help you at any time.